Alrighty, welcome to the show. This is my boy O. We knew each other from back in the Navy days. What was it? Roosevelt. How many years we stayed together? About 2 years.
Yeah, about
About two
that.
years. So great times, man. Welcome to the show, Swayscape. There's a definite hot topic that I definitely want to get your perspective on. Obviously, we've been talking about the pardon of Joe Biden's son, and I'm intrigued to get your opinion of this whole situation, and, and do you feel that the backlash is warranted on the current president?
All right, so there's a couple of angles to look at this, right? Um, I think Joe is in that it is what it is stage. You know what I mean? He's past everything. He's like, look, I'm just hitting the beach from here on out. However, what he did for the Democratic Party kind of messed things up because, you know, he he was adamant about the fact that he was not going to pardon his son. And then all of a sudden he pardoned his son. So what that did was that opened the door wide for Trump to pardon himself, once he gets in office, which is first of all, him getting in office is a whole nother subject as a convicted felon. But so I think Biden set the stage for things that shouldn't happen.
Yeah, I was a little conflicted with the backlash. Uh, for one, I don't think those charges warrant anybody serving any prison time. That's just my little 2 cents. Maybe a fine, a slap on the wrist. Okay, keep it moving. So, is it a possibility? Was it politically motivated? Yeah, maybe so, maybe so. But to have those charges uh, being pushed on him, and then saying found guilty, and then try to do some time, that was a tough pill to swallow. And I hear the concerns where spectators was looking at and hearing Joe Biden, the president, talking about, "Hey, I'm not going to do this. I'm not going to intervene," and whatever the case may be. But then he ended up doing it. But this is his son. This it's a tough pill to swallow. So now, if that was my son, without parting my blood, yeah, I probably would be doing the same exact thing. So that's why I said, man, what's up with the backlash? You got top Democrat donors are threatening not to donate to his uh was it his presidential library.
Mhm.
You got some that's in the Senate right now, and the House is just upset about it. But man, does the American people have amnesia and completely forget that the former president, with all his lies and all his, you know, mischievous conduct that he had while in the president's office, or even after, and even saying that he was gonna pardon himself or even pardon the J6ers. I, I I don't know, man. It's a tough pill to swallow for me, man. Like if that was your son and you have the power to do it, would you do it?
Well, so all right, so here's my thing. I can't stand Donald Trump at all. But the one thing I'll give him is he's upfront about what he's gonna do. You know what I mean? Who he is, and like there's no questions about like nothing he does or is going to do or has done is a shock. But Joe Biden, yes, if it was my son, I would have pardoned him as well, but I wouldn't have adamantly said, I'm not going to pardon him. You know what I mean? I wouldn't have flip-flopped. And that's what he did. And that's what, you know, things like that can sway people in one direction or another. You know what I mean?
So at a different angle, okay, he came out saying he was going to do that, right?
Mm.
But then he goes ahead and does a pardon. Obviously, in that time frame from when he said he was going to do it to the actual time he actually had the official notification, and then looking at the president elect and the potential FBI nominee and what he's trying to do with all the critics of Trump and try to really prosecute. With all that being said, that probably could have changed Joe Biden's mind and be like, you know what? I may have to really go ahead and reconsider and pardon my son because the president to be is going to go after his so-called political rivals and try to use the justice system, the DOJ, to try to lock them up or at least put the heat on them, and that's including my son. Is that really could be considered a flip flop, or that's like, you know what? Nah, I'm not gonna do the right thing. This is just from a Joe Biden perspective. I'm not gonna try to do the right thing, and I go ahead do the right thing, no intervene, get out of office. My son does maybe whatever time they give him, and then Trump gets into office and starts go ahead and cutting blanket pardons where we visually seen it on video with J6 beating up cops and stuff like that. That's why I was like kind of conflicted with the backlash.
Well, I feel you on that. Um, I think the angle, yet another angle that I look at it from is there are an overwhelming percentage of people in America that are not educated on any of that. So all they're seeing is what's in the on the headlines. And that's what they're making their opinion about. And that will easily sway their votes, because a lot of people don't do the background and don't know, what Trump is trying to do, like underlying stuff and things like that. So um I think it probably would have come across better maybe had in the pardon had he given reasons that would somewhat educate folks because people don't do their research, they don't do their homework, so it's hard for there to be an educated opinion, and that could sway people one way or the other.
So another point of angle, hypothetically speaking, if Joe Biden would have came up front and to that podium and said to the DOJ and to the American people, like, hey, I'm gonna go ahead and pardon my son because I think this is a political witch hunt. Do you still think that the public will still have the same outrage and backlash, or it would have kind of neutralized itself?
I think I think you need to look at it in a different way. I think he should have done it, but not in the order that you just mentioned. All right. So do the pardon and then do an explanation, not prior to, right? So that would give people the why the hell did he do this? And then it's like, oh, okay, that makes sense. You know
So,
what I mean?
so like from your stance, like do the pardon. Are you talking about doing the pardon before the trial gets underway, in the middle of trial, or after conviction?
No, do the pardon when he did it, but don't explain it first. Explain it after.
No, and that's what I'm saying. I'm saying, hypothetically speaking, if Joe Biden would have had done that same package you just delivered,
Mm,
everything up front, and hey, I'm gonna go ahead and pardon him and give the explanation, will he still have received the same backlash?
yes, because there's that many Trumpsters out there.
So, so if he would have received the same backlash for being upfront as if he received not being honest from begin with, that's the pill. It's tough for me to swallow.
Well,
It's almost like you're damned if you do it and you're damned if you don't.
so I look at it this way. In the order that he did it now, it's complete like, oh, he's a, oh, why would he do that, and all like that. But if he would have done it in the other order, it's I hate that he did it, but I get it. You know what I mean? So he would still get backlash, the same backlash. However, I think people would have, even if they didn't admit it, they would be like, I get it.
I think, to my knowledge, I think there was two, maybe three as of right now, including Joe Biden, that U.S. presidents has actually pardoned their relatives.
Mhm.
I think Bill Clinton pardoned his half brother. I think Trump has pardoned his son-in-law's father,
Hmm.
and although not blood related, but still family by marriage. And then now, current time, Joe Biden has actually pardoned his blood biological son. So as of right now, to my research, those are the only three that I've counted. But the former president had, I'm talking about former President Trump had at least two that come to my mind that was very controversial. And people have amnesia. One is, well, actually three: Roger Stone, Steve Bannon, and Michael Flynn. I'm pretty sure there was some other ones, but those are the ones that come to my mind right now. I'm like, man, now these were some. I believe there was some serious charges. You know, one. I think it was Steve Bannon and Roger Stone. If I'm not mistaken, was accepting donations for the Build a Wall campaign, and then turned around, pocketed the money, and it was found guilty by a judge. And then he turned around, he meaning Trump turned around and pardoned him. And I'm like,
Yeah.
I said, come on now, really? Yeah, it was a little bit backlash. It wasn't like the ones that we see right now.
Here's the problem though. Joe Biden pardoning Hunter is opening that door for the yeah, but. So when we talk about the pardons that Trump did and the pardons that he's going to give himself, it's going to be, yeah, but look at, Biden.
But that yeah, but was already in place way before Biden, way before Trump. There was other presidents that had questionable pardons. So it's
Oh,
not
it's
it does
not.
it should not fall on the feet of President Biden as, oh, okay, remember this? Yeah, but other folks,
Well, think of this though. Um, we're getting our society is shifting, right? Majority as far as age wise. So a lot of people um, who count towards anything politically, they don't remember that stuff. They're not going to know that stuff. So they're going to look at, they're going to have recency bias. right? So it's going to be um, all they're going to see is, and they may not even see the mentally see the pardons that Trump has already done. They're going to see as soon as he pardons himself, that's when the yeah but comes in, because that's their window, right? They don't have the perspective that we have as more advanced age folks, to remember things or to have done the history and things like that. But so their yeah, but is gonna be in a window, and it's gonna be a recency window. So basically, Trump pardoning himself, or I'm sorry, Biden pardoning his son is going to make it okay to a lot of people that Trump pardons himself with that yeah, but.
The South Carolina, is it South Carolina? Yeah, the South Carolina senator, I think it's Claiborne.
The brother who
Yes.
said he would have slaves.
No, 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 no.
That's the governor, I think.
That was the guy that was going up for governor. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah, yeah. I believe it's Claiborne, but he was floating the idea that he would support Joe Biden pardoning Trump now. Would you agree with that? Would
No.
there be a backlash, or would that have an even keel now? Like, you know what? Tick for tack, we should be even now. Both sides are happy. Keep it moving.
No, I think that would make it harder for a Democrat to win the presidency in the next election because a lot of Democrats would no, that would be a lot of backlash, period. Like there's just on the Democratic side, right? The Republicans would be like, yeah, that's what you should do, blah, blah, blah. But on the Democratic side, mm-mm. There's no pardons for Trump. I mean, we already lost enough people um, because Biden waited too long to pull out of the election. He should have never gone into it, to be honest. Um, he didn't give Kamala enough runway. So that would just sway people even more. That's the problem. People form their total opinions over specific things without looking at the grand scheme of things. And that makes things awful. Like I'm scared about the next 4 years. I told my wife I'm frightened.
Oh man, you know, next week, uh, I'll be sitting down again and doing another episode, but it's about VA cuts, and I'm real curious to see what happens in these next 4 years because it's scary. It's definitely scary. I um I was hearing you and you had a something kind of just alerted my brain to react. It was Joe Biden. Joe Biden. No, I'm just little kind of going down a little rabbit hole. In your opinion, if Biden, knowing that he was sick, knowing that he wasn't feeling well, if he would have put out that debate and rescheduled it when he felt better, would that have changed folks' mind, or he was already done, doomed, and that the awful debate was already just the last straw?
Oh, he was already doomed.
Okay.
Because I mean, you saw it in the last. I'll be generous. 2 years of of his of him being in office. Like he seems like he was mentally deteriorating quickly, right? And what also didn't help was think about it. In his whole presidency, how often did you hear anything from Kamala? I forgot she existed.
But that's another interesting point that I found fascinating through this last year. I can't say last year, the last 3 or 4 months when they were going through that campaign. There's nowhere in presidential history that the vice president is known to have a significant responsibility. It was more of a symbolic position in case the president happens to them, happens something happens to the president and he can't fulfill the duties, then the vice president comes up.
True.
And now that came up strong with Kamala Harris. I was like, wow, it was a great angle of attack from the Republican side that just broke the walls and just infested the minds of many Americans. But factually looking at it, I have not seen it.
Well, again, recency bias, excuse me. Uh, and his name slips me. Who was Trump's vice president?
Mike Pence.
He was in the news all the time during that presidency. He was doing press conferences. He was doing public appearances and stuff like that, like all the time. Not Kamala. So, not saying that there's anything wrong with it. I'm saying it's recency bias.
No, yeah, I definitely understand the what we call the recency effect. Definitely understand that term. But the thing is, even with Mike Pence, the stuff he was out talking, it wasn't it wasn't uh it didn't have like a game plan. It wasn't pushing certain agendas. A lot of times he would just be with Trump.
You're right. You're
And
you're you're very right. But he he had FaceTime. Kamala didn't really have FaceTime. You know what I mean? And that made the that angle easy for the Republicans.
when Joe Biden was the vice president to Obama, I don't remember seeing him either.
Really? I think he had a
Yeah,
good deal of FaceTime.
I don't remember seeing him.
They was talking about like how he would like they always talked him up like how he would take the train, you know what I mean, from his home in Delaware to DC and like on a daily basis and stuff like even his wife had FaceTime because she was a doctor, you know. They they had every VP I can think of had more FaceTime than Kamala. Like she was like elected and then she went home and
Who
chilled.
who was Bill Clinton's VP?
I don't even remember.
That's that's the point right there. I don't know either.
Well, yeah, that's a good question.
I don't know either. After that, when it gets farther back from Clinton, yeah, I was too young to be into politics. I didn't even really care too much. But Clinton, I don't even know who's
Al
who president.
Gore.
See that? Yeah. So he was more prevalent. Uh, what was the climate change. So that's why he was really known for, and obviously losing to Bush. So, but yeah, man, yeah, that's definitely another conversation that we definitely dig deeper into that because I'm very very fascinated of the outcome, meaning that how the public deem to believe that Trump is the go-to man, despite everything you just named. So even though you might have some valid points that you probably wasn't in the camera as much, showing that FaceTime, that visibility, comparing that to everything that we've seen and we heard from Trump, and he still got reelected. That's baffling to me.
It's amazing to me, especially because she's when you look at like the debates or anytime she does have FaceTime, uh she's very intellectual in
Absolutely,
comparison, especially.
absolutely, she is absolutely.
So, I mean, he's just a dummy. Like, everybody's like, oh, he's a billionaire, so blah blah blah. First of all, he's not really a billionaire, and second of all, he's filed bankruptcy 7 times. So he just knows, and he didn't even build his wealth. He was handed his wealth from his father. So
Yeah,
like, I like people who they pull themselves up.
right.
You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
I will say this. He definitely knows the way the media dynamic works.
Oh yeah.
He knows how to use that to truly manipulate the public to his advantage. I think, I mean, he's not the only one. There's other folks that did it, but I think he did it in a in a devious way. Like he literally was giving you some BS, like literally lying at the podium. Like, for example, when COVID was prevalent, it was running rampant, and he'll come to the podium and say a pandemic is a hoax, it's a lie. But yet behind closed door, you taking it serious and you taking your shot, and you have your whole campus like, oh, this is serious. But then you go to the public and be like, this is a hoax. This is
Right.
that always stuck to me. I was like, man, y'all, wow. This a bunch of other stories we could say, but we'll say that for another time. We definitely need to have another conversation because I really want to pull back the onions layer by layer and really dissect that because it's fascinating. It's fascinating when you talk about uh cultism, when you talk about the political comeback, this is going to be at the top.
Yeah. Yeah.
Regardless of what we think about Trump, it's going to be at the top. Because all the stuff that he has done, and even right now, he's not even in the office right now, and a lot of the companies are reacting to these tariffs. It's it's insane.
It's crazy. Well, one thing that always cracked me up, he always like focused on how old Joe Biden is.
Yep,
Old Joe, Sleepy Joe. They're only 4 years apart.
yep. And so that's another point that it's very, very, very smart of him to use the media to his advantage to
Hmm.
really trick the daggone public, or at least his followers. Because we were like, come on, man, y'all about the same age, man. What are you talking
Right.
about? I get it. Trump has more energy to the step, a little pep to the step. I get it. You could see it. I said,
Hmm.
but still, dude, you old.
Right. Right. Well, and that's what another thing I think of is I don't want to discriminate on age or anything, but
Nah.
I really think we need a young president again. I mean, think of all the stuff that uh, Obama did, and he got in office when he was what, 44? You know what I mean? Huge difference.
Yes. And Obama had the House and the Republican Senate against him, and he still did some stuff. He gets a lot of heat, but I'm like, man, what you expect one man to do in 8 years
Right.
after 300 years of oppression and all this crazy? Come on, let's be realistic.
And that's another thing. Look, these next 2 years, any victories we have as a country, Trump is going to take all the credit for. But statistically, the first 2 years of a presidency is attributed to the last 2 years of the last presidency. So it's the work that they did that it forms what happens now.
So with that point you just said, uh, going to his presidency, 2016, 2020. So those first 2 years, he, in theory or facts, he was riding the waves of the Obama administration, right?
Absolutely.
Okay. And then shortly after that, COVID hit and everything went down, right? So then, you can't blame him fully because it was a global pandemic, but you kind of blame him, his leadership and what he did and do for the American public. And a lot of stuff went bad, right?
True.
But when you was hearing the followers and you get to these political debates, you hear a lot of these folks will talk about that Trump had the best economy ever. They completely forget about this last 2 years, and they forget that those 2 years belong to somebody else. So then you ask yourself, what has he done? And then the conversation goes silent. But yet
Hmm.
he got reelected. Fascinating.
Well, okay. So let's compound onto that. What's more fascinating, which what really blows my mind, is this election, he's gotten so many more minority votes. Like, I don't get it. What are they seeing? Like, make it make sense to me.
I see a lot of them right now they have buyer's remorse. So especially with the Latino Hispanic community, a lot of these jokers was believing that since they were doing good stuff in the community and whatever working, that the immigration deportation plan wasn't going to affect them. So now they're like, well, I voted. I thought this. I thought that. I said, nah, buddy, you you in that same boat. You about to get sent off if you ain't got your papers straight.
Hmm.
Your mother, if she ain't got her papers straight, she got to go. And so now they terrified, just like the terrorists. So a lot of these followers they didn't understand that eventually those tariff taxes all get pushed down to the consumer, so the price goes up. They thought it was China gonna pay for it. I'm just like, man, did you not learn from the last terrorist war we had? I said, but this time China's not even playing. They banned a lot of these resources immediately. Either like I think uranium and some other stuff that we use to build either nuclear weapons, use for cell phones, chips for these cars.
Hmm.
He's not even in the office that we already getting hit. So, and and I think this time frame, it is not just going to be the America. I think it's going to be a globalization political shift. You're seeing it now with South Korea. You're seeing it now with Russia, and obviously with us. So it's going to be very, very, very high stakes and potential to some other dramatic wars. So, but
That's why I'm about to retire and move to Honduras. No, not Honduras. I'm sorry. Costa Rica.
I'll say Honduras now. That's Costa Rica.
Costa Rica.
But yo, time is the essence. We definitely have to chop it again for another episode. I appreciate you joining me and having this casual conversation, meeting of the minds. We'll definitely do this again. Definitely enjoy it. Have fun. You got any
Word.
any parting words to the troops out there, to the audience?
Nah, just stay woke. I know that's a cliche statement, but we really got to stay woke.
Yeah, 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 in line, man. I know they use that to weaponize certain party, but we was always got brought up to Have that third eye open and keep your head on the swivel, as we say in the Navy. Keep your
Word.
head in the swivel, shipmate. You don't know what's about to happen. So, with that being said, much love. Thank you and peace.